Hello everyone, and welcome back to Foreign Eyes on America. For decades, Korean newspapers have been fascinated by the way Americans live not in crowded towers, but in wide, low neighborhoods of detached houses and lawns. To Korean journalists, the difference between American and Korean housing is not just architectural. It is cultural, even psychological. It reveals how two societies think about privacy, freedom, and community. In Seoul, papers like Chosun Ilbo and Hankyoreh often describe American suburbs as the landscape of personal space. They note that while South Korea's skyline rises vertically, America expands horizontally. The result, they say, is a daily experience of independence. A home with a yard, a mailbox, and a front door of one's own. These are not conveniences, but symbols of self-determination. Korean columnists often use vivid comparisons. In Seoul, thousands live in one building in Texas or California. One family may occupy land that could hold 50 apartments. It's not just space, wrote Jungang Ilbo. It's mindset. Americans are raised to protect their space, Koreans to share it. The press links housing patterns to social behavior. In high-rise life, privacy is scarce, and noise, elevators, and shared walls shape etiquette. Such density fosters collective discipline but also pressure to conform. In contrast, American single-family life teaches autonomy. Children grow up mowing lawns and learning early that property means responsibility. As Dong A. Ilbo wrote, American homes are classrooms of independence. Urban scholars quoted in Mail Business newspaper say America's housing model mirrors its politics. Zoning laws and homeowner associations reflect belief in limited government and personal control. Even a garage is a symbol of freedom, a private domain where rules pause. To Koreans, who live amid proximity and cooperation, that autonomy feels both enviable and isolating. Still, Korean journalists admit this freedom has trade-offs. Detached homes bring privacy but also distance. Neighbors may wave from driveways but rarely share meals. By contrast, cramped apartments, though stressful, create community through contact. In Korea, we hear each other's lives, wrote one reporter. In America, we only see the lights. For decades, Korean coverage of U.S. suburbs has mixed admiration and caution. They praise comfort and space, yet question the loneliness. What feels like freedom in Los Angeles can seem isolation in Seoul. As the Korea Times observed, in America, walls keep noise out. In Korea, they keep people in. And so, when Korean journalists describe America's suburban dream, they see more than houses, they see the architecture of a national soul. A culture that defines happiness not by closeness, but by distance freely chosen. As Korean newspapers delve into the contrast between American apartments and single-family homes, they find more than architecture, a philosophy of living. To them, every wall and front yard reflects a belief about coexistence. From Hankyoreh to Chosun Ilbo, journalists agree that America's housing model reveals a society built on trust and individuality. In Seoul, density has become destiny. Apartment towers stretch for miles, and privacy is a scarce luxury. Korean reporters note that this collective model produces both efficiency and anxiety. Neighbors hear each other's footsteps, smell each other's cooking, and share not just noise but stress. In Korean apartments, one columnist wrote, "Life is lived in layers, your ceiling is someone's floor." By contrast, American suburban life offers separation as peace. A house with its own walls and land symbolizes not just wealth but self-governance. Residents can repaint doors, plant trees, or host barbecues without approval. To Korean readers used to management offices and shared rules, this independence feels radical. The American home, wrote Dong A. Ilbo, is a declaration of personal sovereignty. Yet commentators also note the cost of that sovereignty: silence. In American suburbs, interaction must be intentional. Neighbors don't meet by chance in elevators, they must choose to connect. Jungang Ilbo observed, freedom requires effort, even in friendship. In Korea, constant proximity creates spontaneous community. You don't plan to meet your neighbor, you hear them through the wall. Sociologists cited in Mail Business newspaper link these contrasts to social psychology. Koreans, shaped by collectivism, find comfort in shared rhythms. Americans, heirs to frontier life, equate space with dignity. Even urban design reflects that divide. Korea stacks people. America spreads them. Geography itself seems to teach different lessons about belonging. Writers also explore how housing shapes emotion. In American suburbs, the home is both sanctuary and fortress, control amid uncertainty. In Korea, home is about connection. The line between public and private is thinner. As Hank Yora noted, in a Korean apartment, you live together even when alone. Korean editorials praise the beauty of American housing, the lawns, porches, and openness, but warn against idealizing it. Maintenance, security, and loneliness all come with the privilege of space. A large house can hold more emptiness, wrote one Seoul columnist. This tension between comfort and solitude fascinates Korean media, which see in it a reflection of America's paradox, the freedom to be alone. Ultimately, Korean journalists conclude that the home, whether vertical or horizontal, expresses a nation's soul. In Korea, the apartment is a hive, efficient, collective, restless. In America, the house is a statement, independent, proud, sometimes lonely. Between those walls lies a question that crosses the Pacific. Is happiness about living together, or about living freely? When Korean journalists write about American housing, they are not just describing architecture, they are interpreting identity. To them, the contrast between apartments and single-family homes reveals how societies define freedom, privacy, and belonging. For Koreans, 70% of whom live in apartments, America's suburban lifestyle feels like a glimpse into another philosophy of life. Chosun Ilbo once called the American house a fortress of independence. Within those fences, it said, people find not isolation but autonomy. The freedom to decorate, modify, or expand one's home reflects a belief that happiness comes from self-direction. The paper compared this to Korea's tightly managed apartment complexes, where even curtain colors spark debate. In Korea, it joked, individuality is negotiated by committee. Other journalists see the divide as symbolic of national character. In America, space is a right, in Korea, a privilege. U.S. homeowners guard property with pride, while Koreans share walls and routines. Hank Yora noted, Americans argue to keep their space. Koreans cooperate to share it. Economically, the difference mirrors history. America built suburbs during post-war prosperity. Korea built towers during industrialization. For the U.S., the home became an emblem of stability. For Korea, a ladder to survival and status. Korean media often note that the American dream was born in the yard. The Korean dream in concrete. Yet behind the contrast lies a deeper truth: American housing celebrates distance as dignity, while Korean housing values proximity as strength. Both carry burdens. Suburban freedom demands maintenance, apartment convenience limits privacy. As Mail business newspaper put it, space teaches culture, and culture builds walls. Modern Korean journalists approach the topic with curiosity rather than envy. Younger writers ask, could Korea ever embrace horizontal living? Experts say land and habit make it unlikely. But the idea of personal space is slowly reshaping expectations. Balconies widen, walls thicken, and privacy appears more often in real estate ads. Interestingly, some see a quiet reversal. While Koreans dream of space, many Americans return to cities seeking connection. The suburb, once a paradise of solitude, now feels too lonely, too car-bound, too far from life. It seems both nations are walking toward each other, one chasing distance, the other closeness. From afar, Korean journalists view America's vast neighborhoods as both inspiring and instructive. Architecture, they remind readers, shapes identity. Towers teach cooperation, houses teach self-reliance. Neither is superior, they are two answers to the same question. What does it mean to live well together? As the Korea Times concluded, an American home is a symbol of freedom. A Korean apartment a symbol of community. The challenge ahead is to combine the two, to build walls that protect, but never divide. Thank you for watching Foreign Eyes on America. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay free.